Imagine a time when crossing America by air meant braving windswept tarmacs and unpredictable schedules. Then, almost overnight, the Boeing 707 demanded airports reinvent everything. Runways were stretched, jetways appeared, and coast-to-coast trips became routine. Turning jet power into everyday predictability did not just happen. It forced a revolution that changed how we move and what we expect from every airport forever. What did it take to make coast-to-coast feel truly local? A passenger steps from the terminal, expecting the familiar sting of wind and the scramble across the open ramp. Instead, a quiet hush settles as she enters a glass-walled corridor, shielded from the rain. This is her first encounter with the new jet bridge, an enclosed walkway that connects the gate directly to the waiting 707. The air is warm, the floor steady, and the only sound is the gentle hum of the terminal behind her. Flight attendants, once tasked with shepherding lines of travelers through puddles and across busy tarmacs, now greet passengers with calm smiles at the aircraft door. The ritual of boarding, once a test of patience and weather, becomes a moment of ease. Airlines in 1959 began to showcase this experience in their marketing, promising travelers a journey untouched by wind or rain. For flight crews, the change is just as real. They recall the days of umbrellas and shouting over engines, now replaced by a steady flow of passengers stepping aboard, coats dry and tempers unruffled. The jet bridge, first deployed at major U.S. airports in 1959, quickly turned the once chaotic process into something almost serene. As the last passenger enters, the door closes with a soft click. The outside world, its storms and noise, feels distant. Inside, the expectation is simple. The journey will begin on time, in comfort, with the city outside fading quietly into memory. Frank Deruen, an MIT-trained engineer, saw a problem every time passengers braved the weather to board a plane. His solution, a telescoping pivoting bridge, was patented in 1960 and quietly began to change the way airports functioned. The first operational jet bridge appeared at Chicago O'Hare in 1958, built by Lockheed Air Terminal using Deruen's design. Within a year, major airlines ordered fleets of these enclosed walkways. United and Delta contracted Pacific Iron and Steel to manufacture dozens, installing them at airports like SFO, Atlanta, and JFK. The 707's size and door height called for a new approach to gate design. Terminals were reoriented with concourses widened and gates arranged at right angles so jets could park nose in. This allowed direct access from terminal to aircraft, ending the era of side-in parking and ramp crossing passengers. The result was not just comfort, but a rethinking of airport geometry. Gates fanned out from central piers, maximizing jet bridge reach and passenger flow. Ramp operations adapted quickly. Pushback tractors became standard, choreographing the movement of jets away from the gate. Boarding lines shifted off the tarmac and into glass-walled corridors, while ramp workers focused on bridge alignment and safety protocols. Airlines documented savings in dwell time, sometimes up to 20%, as weather delays and chaotic boardings faded into memory. The jet bridge was more than a convenience. It was a structural answer to the demands of the jet age, linking the promise of speed to the reality of predictable, comfortable journeys. Earth movers rumbled across the edge of Idlewild in 1961, carving out a runway that would soon stretch farther than any other in the country. The original pavement, 8,100 feet of concrete, had been enough for propeller-driven airliners, but the Boeing 707 demanded more. By the time the last truck rolled away, runway 13R31L measured 11,350 feet. Its reinforced surface layered thick to bear the weight of fully loaded jets. Engineers calculated every inch, knowing that a 707 at takeoff could weigh over 250,000 pounds and require nearly 2 miles of pavement to lift off safely for a transcontinental flight. Asphalt and concrete alone were not enough. Beneath the surface, crews packed crushed stone and engineered subbase to absorb each landing's shock. The scale of the project was hard to ignore. Construction reports from the Port Authority described thousands of tons of material poured and compacted, sometimes working day and night to keep pace with airline schedules. The new runway did not just serve New York. It set a national standard, with airports from San Francisco to Chicago drawing up their own plans for longer, stronger strips of pavement. These upgrades arrived before the full wave of jet traffic, a gamble that paid off as airlines filled schedules with new, reliable coast-to-coast flights. What began as an engineering challenge became the foundation for the rhythms of the jet age, making it possible for a 707 to depart in the morning and land across the continent before dinner, every detail underpinned by thousands of feet of carefully built ground. Every clock in the terminal seems to tick toward the same moment. At 3:15 p.m., a row of Boeing 707s stands ready, each one fueled, cleaned, and waiting at the gate. This is the heart of the bank window, the carefully orchestrated wave of arrivals and departures that defines the rhythm of the jet age. Airlines push for a standard, 30 to 45 minutes from touchdown to takeoff. The old meandering pace is gone. In its place, a sense of urgency and precision shapes every movement on the ramp. Behind the scenes, the duty manager keeps a close eye on the log. Every arrival triggers a chain reaction, fuel trucks roll up as soon as the jet bridge locks in place, cleaning crews sweep through the aisles, and baggage carts swarm the belly of the plane. Each task is timed, each handoff practiced to the minute. If one step falls behind, the entire schedule teeters. The duty manager's radio crackles with updates: cargo loaded, galley restocked, passengers ready to board. He checks the clock again. The goal is not just speed, it is reliability. A late departure risks missing the next bank, throwing off connections for hundreds of travelers. The bank model turns chaos into choreography. Gates fill and empty in pulses, matching the peaks of the schedule. The terminal buzzes with energy, then quiets as jets push back in unison. For passengers, the effect is subtle but profound. Flights leave when they say they will. Connections are made, not missed. The 707's promise of speed becomes a dependable reality, enforced as much by human coordination as by the power of the engines themselves. On a cold morning in 1961, a fuel spill at Denver Stapleton set off a fire just yards from a waiting 707. The ramp chief barked orders as crews scrambled. Foam trucks had 3 minutes to douse the flames before catastrophe. No one was lost, and the lesson was clear. Within months, airports across the country installed hydrant fueling grids, replacing slow, spill-prone trucks with underground lines and emergency shutoffs. The FAA set new rules. Every jet ramp would have rapid response foam crews, and every turnaround would follow strict fueling checklists. Safety became as fast and reliable as the jets themselves. By the early 1960s, the roar of jet engines after dark became a new reality for neighborhoods near airports like Los Angeles International Airport and San Francisco International Airport. City officials responded with some of the nation's first curfews, banning most jet takeoffs between 11 at night and 7 in the morning. Airlines, facing both local complaints and tight schedules, began to thread their longest flights through the narrow windows allowed by noise rules. Duty managers adjusted timetables, launching overnight departures just before curfew. The result was the rewired, a flight leaving the West Coast late at night, arriving on the East Coast by sunrise. What once took 14 hours now fit neatly into a night's sleep, compressing distance while reshaping the rhythms of both airports and the cities around them. At midnight at O'Hare, the ramp is slick with frost and every second counts. The duty manager huddles with the ramp chief, radios crackling as crews race to turn the last bank before curfew. Fuel lines snap off, baggage carts roll, and the jet bridge swings into place just as the clock hits 11 p.m. In the logbook, someone writes, "Tonight, Chicago shrank." New York feels like a shuttle away. The doors close, engines spool, and the 707 lifts into the night on schedule. For the first time, coast to coast feels routine. Today, most Americans expect to cross the country in hours, not days, because airports are still built for jets, not propellers. Every predictable departure, every distant city within reach, traces back to a runway once stretched for the 707. The world feels smaller, but the distances haven't changed.